Hey guys, somebody asked me about getting into development programming in your 50s. Now, I did a video a few years back about doing this in your 40s. Long story short, yeah, it makes sense. 40s, definitely you can jump into it. Although when you're jumping into software development and coding at that age versus when you're 20 or 18 or 19, whatever it is, it's a different game. So there's a few things that are advantage to you and a few things that are disadvantage to you. So the advantage is that when you're getting into this game at an older age, you probably got a lot more discipline. You probably have you definitely have a lot more life experience, and you may, most importantly, have very good domain knowledge, something I've been talking about for a long time. Before I would learn a new framework, before I would learn a new language, once you know your basics, your foundations, I would get into learning about a particular domain. A domain could be a type of business. Well, a domain is a type of business. That's what I mean. So it could be the coffee business. Become an expert at the whole coffee business. Maybe owning a coffee shop. Go work for a coffee shop for 6 months. Maybe you have a background. You were a carpenter. Maybe you were into bookkeeping. Maybe you were a nurse, etc., etc., etc. Domain knowledge is probably one of your secret tools, if you will, the secret weapons of somebody who's older and getting into software development. Because companies will value somebody with experience who knows the domain really well, that can combine coding or programming experience, much more valuable than some young nerdling with a couple years of programming experience or 3-4 years of programming experience with no domain knowledge. Again, mileage may vary, it depends on the situations, but that is one of the big advantages of getting into coding older. Let's talk about a disadvantage. Well, disadvantage is that a lot of companies will be reluctant to hire somebody in their 50s or older because they know that this person is closing in on retirement more likely than not. Although these days, people are retiring much later anyhow because we're healthier. A lot of people didn't watch my video on FU money, so they have to work. So that being said, the downside is you may run into that. There's no question about that. But there's ways around that, by the way. Domain knowledge is one way around that. Another thing is that you wouldn't get a job, I really doubt it, at a startup, because startups usually want young coders who they can burn out and they can work them hard because they got the energy, etc. Again, this is where I know people who own startups and they've hired very much older people because of their domain knowledge and people in their late 50s and so on. So it's possible with the startups, but it depends on the situation. So the other way where an older person in their 50s and up, another way they can get into the whole programming game, development game, is to get into first the web stack, first of all. That's web development, HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, some server-side programming, whether it be Node.js, JavaScript, or PHP, raw PHP, or PHP Laravel. If you don't know any of this, watch my other vlogs. Or maybe you're going to get into WordPress development, a lot of possibilities there. Or get into something I call the web professional, which is kind of a smorgasbord, a variety of skills that don't fall into developer or front-end developer or full-stack developer. I'll get into that in another video. So you get into the web stack and you go freelance. Because then you can pick and choose your clients. Once you've established yourself, you can work when you want, how you want, and age becomes much, much, much less of a factor because you're dealing with business owners, small business owners, vast majority of the time, and they're going to be concerned about your portfolio and how mature you seem, how dependable you are, less about HR department bureaucracies and so forth. So that is probably your best move. Now, some people can be a little fearful about freelancing, but if you follow the right procedures, within a short period of time, you can get up and running and have all the benefits of freelancing, all the freedom and so forth. And once you've established yourself, which you can do in a reasonable period of time, 6 months to a year, maybe a year and a half, depending on the situation, then with that freelance business established, then you're going to have tremendous money-making opportunity, tremendous potential for freedom, and you can, if you structure it properly, make a lot more money than you could possibly make working for somebody. So that's something really to consider. Anyway, that's it for this, I suppose. Yeah, so in conclusion, when you're over 50, yes, you can do it. See if you can leverage some domain knowledge, experience, learn the web stack. You might not get into startups and so forth because you're older, but you can definitely get into freelance. I would look to maybe smaller companies who may be looking for an experienced, mature individual to jump into the game. And that's a little tip for young developers. Like one of my mentors once told me, he said, I'd rather have somebody who is pretty good skills, doesn't have to be great, but just pretty good skills, but who's dependable, communicates well, is not a jerk. Much more productive for the business owner, something that they look for much more than the super talented jerk programmer who nobody can get along with because they're always a disaster. So learn from that. So if you can come in to a job opportunity, whether you're freelancing or getting a job where you got it together and you're mature and you present well and you speak well and you listen to people and you communicate well and you act mature, you do what you say and you say what you do, you're going to do much better in your career than learning some new framework and being a jerk. All right, I hope that helps. Bye. Spring is in the air. Spring is in the air. This is March 9th, 2019, and it's around 6 o'clock. So we have the 6 o'clock sun. Let's see what it looks like around the corner. Fantastic. Woo. Is this the ultimate vlogging camera? Perhaps it is. Perhaps it is. I think I'm going to be using this more and more and more as I do more vlogs for you guys going forward. Can't wait for the warm weather. More car vlogs, more convertible code car vlogs. And I'll be using this camera a lot besides my GoPro and maybe my Canon. There you go. Nice day. In about a week or so, we're going to get above zero. The snow will start melting. And in about a month, the leaves will come out. And it'll be a very beautiful place to relax on this balcony of mine. That's why I stay here.